Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida. And if you are new to my content, I help people to heal physically through sharing a quantum healing modality called redox signaling. And I also help mentally, emotionally, spiritually with support in the teachings that I give. And this is book club. This is one of the most fabulous times of the week because this is when we get together, usually based around another spiritual teacher. So I have done books with Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, and now we have started with the incredible Michael Singer. So we're reading The Untethered Soul. And if you are joining me live for book club, just let me know that you're here. I see you, Angela. Hey. And we'll get started here in a moment, but just some context. So this book, again, it's one of Michael Singer's work. He's written The Surrender Experiment, which is amazing, and Living Untethered. He runs Temple of the Universe, which is not far from me. It's actually about a little over an hour. It's in the Ocala National Forest, like near Gainesville. And just absolutely incredible human being. He's very humble. He's had a lot of success in the world. But if you were to look at him, you wouldn't know. He has had the inner success as well. Very humble, very kind, very down to earth. And I love this book because it's very practical spirituality done with some humor. So we are reading now chapter 2. So if you're joining us for the full book club, make sure you're in the Telegram group. That's where I kind of keep our assignments and keep us on track, and we can chat with each other there. If you're just tuning in for these particular lives and you're not reading the book, that's okay. You'll gain a lot from this and a lot from the conversation. So let me know if you catch the replay, tag a friend if you find this helpful and you think it can help them. Honestly, the stuff that we're discussing is transformative for people's life. Very healing internally, right? This inner dimension of the world. So this chapter was called The Inner Roommate, or Your Inner Roommate, I should say. And did y'all realize that you have an inner roommate? I think some people are well aware and some people have no idea. Good morning, Marie. Thank you for letting me know you're here. Yeah, guys, as you're dropping in and coming, just shoot a message. It's always fun to see who's joining in live. So to start, when was the last time nothing was bothering you? I'm curious. When was the last time nothing was bothering you? I was just bothered by something like 2 hours ago. The cat that I'm watching for a friend threw up its breakfast. And I'm like, God, yeah, I gotta clean the carpet. I gotta do this, right? I got bothered. My brain was blah, blah, blah. My inner roommate had a lot to say. When was the last time that you had nothing bothering you? It's amazing. Like just that simple question, you sit and you go, I don't know. Like my brain is always going, right? That inner roommate. This is the roommate he's talking about. And he says, oh, you're not ready for spiritual growth. You're not ready to shift and to change your life until you are sick and tired of the roommate. And you were sick and tired of it. Angela says, yeah, hardly ever. Am I not bothered by something? Like it's amazing how chatty the mind is. It's freaking kind of crazy. And I love how he put this out in this chapter. So, he says the questions that you ask, obviously, of this inner chatter are really important. I don't think any of us step back and ask it. So he said, what should I do about it? Like when you have an issue in life, say it's at work, and you start to ask, okay, what should I do about it? He says that's the wrong question to be asking. And the correct question to actually be asking is, what part of me is being disturbed by this? So we are so quick to go, okay, this isn't working. I don't like this. What can I do? What should I do? And we start thinking about how can we start manipulating, changing, adjusting the external world so that we feel okay. And I don't know about you, but all of the controlling and manipulating and changing and adjusting and, doing this and that, it takes a lot of energy. And a lot of times, you can't change anything. You can't control it. So let's see, there's somebody on here that might be spamming you guys. So just let me see if I can remove them from the live. No, don't want to do that. Well, you can just ignore this person. Tarot card readers trying to get everybody to read with them. So you can just ignore the spam. Okay, So getting back to this, what part of me is being disturbed? That's really the question to ask, because that actually is going to get at the real solution, so that you have inner peace, so that you have no stress, so that you can be relaxed. All right, if you want to achieve peace in the face of your problems, you must understand why you perceive a particular situation to be a problem. And this is profound. It's such a simple question, but the reality is life is just happening, right? Life is neutral. It's not for you. It's not against you. Life is just unfolding, period, point blank. It's just there. We have an internal response to life. And sometimes it's unfolding in a way that our inner self is like, oh, this is pleasant and wonderful and I like it. And then other times it unfolds in a way where we're like, this is terrible. I'm uncomfortable. This doesn't feel good. This is making me anxious. It's making me sweat. This shouldn't be this way. They should have done this way. I can't believe they treated someone like that. And it goes. And what he's saying is, okay, stop. Because your job is not to go try and change the external world. Your job is to look at life and go, okay, what got triggered within me when that thing occurred? Life is your teacher. And it's a beautiful teacher. It's an incredible teacher. And every time you're triggered, that's a moment where life is trying to say to you, hey, you got something unfinished in here. Hey, there's something inside of you that's getting bumped up against. You need to maybe resolve that. You need to look at that a little bit deeper. That's why life's unfolding that way. Marie's saying sometimes you don't know. It's like it just bothers you from who knows what. Maybe something from a long time ago. Yeah, I'm glad you say this. Who's also felt that? Put a 1 in the chat where you're like, I don't know why I'm annoyed, but this just ticked me off. And I'm not sure why. I just got a little angry. I realized that my response is a little totally disproportionate to what's going on. Put a 1 in the chat if you've experienced something like that. I know I have. And thankfully, I've been cultivating this where I watch my little roommate talk and I'm like, why are you annoyed by this? But it's revealing something. So what the philosophy that I study, what they say is that your body has energy running through it all the time. Right? And emotions, events, it's just like energy moving through a tube. And sometimes something happened in your past that was maybe too much for you. And it's like your nervous system throws a circuit breaker and it just says, whoa, we got to stop because that event is too much energy. It's too intense. We can't handle it. And it just stops it from moving into the system. But that energy, it's not created or destroyed, right? The energy moves into a holding pattern. And this holding pattern, the yogis call it a grunty, and it gets stuck in your system. And so what can happen, and Marie, this is what you're getting at, what can happen is then when life unfolds neutrally, right? Life is just happening, not for you or against you. It's just happening. But it unfolds in a way that maybe it catches the scent of, it feels a little bit like this thing that happened in the past. This blocked energy gets hit. And that's when you get triggered. That's the way the yogis describe it. And I think it's a great visual. And so when this little energy knot from a past trauma, past event, past whatever, gets hit and gets triggered a little bit, you have a reaction. This is when you have an emotion. And this is why Mickey is saying in this, what part of me is being disturbed by this? Because what's actually happening is life is giving you a chance to say, hey, grunty, Lou, grunty, Granthi. Your sister's going to be learning all about this in Inner Management Mastery. She'll be able to teach you all about it. So I lost my train of thought. Sorry. I got distracted by the word, not grunt, grunty. It's Sanskrit. But so life is unfolding, right, in a way to help you realize what's unfinished from your past. And this is powerful because these grunties are, in the West, we call them subconscious blocks. They're the stuff that's holding us down, holding us back. And so life is unfolding in a way that it's triggering these things, which is supposed to be a gift. It's supposed to let you know, hey, ding, 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 waving its arms, you need to deal with this thing, it's holding you down. It's keeping you at a lower vibration. It's a problem. You need to now deal with this past trauma you didn't deal with. You need to deal with this past event that you didn't deal with. You need to go into that space. That's what it's saying. That's how life is unfolding. And this is how you should be observing your life. Your triggers are your teachers. Right? This is what Mickey's saying. Not what should I do about it, Not, oh, this happened, so I need to go fix this, or tell my neighbor not to do that anymore, or tell him, the dog can't walk on my lawn. Like, what are you doing? This is my property line. Like, no, it's just going, why am I bothered by this? What part of me is getting disturbed? What's it hitting up against inside of me? Is this making sense? That's what he's getting at here. And this is huge. This is going to make you look at life as just like a playground for your own growth. Going, okay, well, why'd I just get annoyed? It's a lesson for me. Life doesn't need to be different. Life's neutrally unfolding. I'm the one having a problem with it. I'm the one taking it so personally. That's a me problem. And I'll tell you what, people are way out of balance on this. People want to blame. You shouldn't speak that way. You offended me. You need to be politically correct. Blah, 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 blah. You hurt my feelings. Okay, your feelings got hurt. Go figure out what inside of you is not okay. And let's fix that so that you are okay. People are just talking. It doesn't matter. It's not meant to hurt you. All right, it's neutral. My hair has gotten so long. It's like wild. And the sweater, it's like getting stuck to. I keep getting distracted by it. Should I cut it? I don't know. I think it's nice long. Anyway, okay. So he says, like, say you're getting jealous. Like, the question is, what part of me, right, is being disturbed by this? Why is that getting knocked up? Did something happen in a past relationship where maybe your past partner cheated on you? And so now you've got this grunty, this energy knot, this blocked thing that's like super hyper alert and aware now. Like, well, why are you hanging out with that person? You shouldn't be hanging out with that person because you're afraid you're going to get hurt again. And so that jealousy is really just this space inside of you that wasn't healed from that event. Making sense? High five me, 5 in the chat if it's making sense. Oh, look, Instagram gives me like, I give a thumbs up and it does one. That's fun. Technology is getting so interactive these days. Okay, so he says, once you clearly see the disturbed part of you, then you can say, who is it that sees this? Who notices the disturbance? Like Mickey's more simple. He doesn't go into the whole grunty thing and whatever, and like, well, he talks about some scars, but anyway, I'm glad you're with me. Glad I'm seeing high fives. He basically says, look, to solve the problem is just to realize that the problem's not yours. That you have this inner roommate. That there is a voice inside of you that's not you, that is the one that's getting pissy about this thing. And it's super chatty, right? Super chatty. And he says, once you realize and you go inward, you don't say, well, what can I change out here? You go, okay, what inside of me, what part of me is disturbed? And then you say, who is it that's seeing that? I'm actually not the one that's disturbed. I'm watching this voice be disturbed. This is key. And he says, once you see that, you can just drop everything, because he, like, literally Mickey says, like, I don't do coaching, I don't do therapy, I don't do counseling, I don't do anything. All I will ask you is, who's the one noticing the disturbance? Period. Because what he's getting at is you're the witness. It's your human mind and your human brain and the ego that's having a problem because something is not the way it thinks it should be. But that ego mind never shuts up. It has a million things to say, and half the time it's wrong. And this is your inner roommate. And he's saying, you're not that. You're just stuck with a crazy person, right? That's what this whole chapter was about. There is this maniac inside of you that is your ego mind that has a lot to say about everything and gets ticked off about a lot of things and is wrong about a lot of things and, gets you anxious about a lot of things. But the truth is, it's not you. You are the one watching it. And so he says, the problem, you can't solve it because, like, it's an illusion. Just that chatter has the problem. There is no actual problem. All right? Easier said than done, but that's Mickey's thing. He's like, well, who's the one witnessing it? You answer that question and you're fine. Because the answer to that question is that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and you are not the one having the problem. It's the human little mind that's having the problem. Big, deep stuff, but he makes it really simple, right? He makes it so simple. He says you need to have, in order to have true inner freedom, you have to objectively watch your problems instead of being lost inside of them. And so he gave us two steps, really. I'm on page 16. He says, number 1, the first problem you have to deal with is your own reaction. That's what I was talking about. What What are you hitting up against? What's the reaction that, flared up? That's your first thing. Okay, what is that? Because you can resolve that. You can work through that. And then you deal with what's left. So once you've gotten your emotional reaction out of the way, you then go, okay, well, how can I respond to what's unfolding in front of me? Because sometimes people do treat you unfairly, and that shouldn't be okay, but you have to deal with your own reaction first. Like, why can't you just neutrally deal with the person? Why do you have to get angry or upset or feel like, oh, everyone takes advantage of me? Right. All right. All right, next one. Next thing. Next point. He basically says, if you want to meet your inner roommate, if you weren't aware that you had an inner roommate and you would like to meet your inner roommate, just sit down and try to be quiet and have a moment of solitude. And right on cue, right? Your roommate shows up. Why am I doing this? I have more important things to do. This is a waste of time. There's nobody in here but me. What's this all about? There is someone else in there, little roommate. And it doesn't realize it. So the thing is, like, once you start to see this, and I love kind of the challenge I'm going to give all of you that he gave us in this chapter, is to just, once you start watching it, you will realize it is constant. I like that. I don't like that. I want that. I don't want that. This is good. This is bad. Like, it's constantly having an opinion about everything. And so he says you're so close to it that you don't realize that, like, you're literally hypnotized by this voice because you think it's you. It's not you. Okay? It's not you. You're just separate. And I love his sense of humor. He says, first, you have to realize that you've been locked inside there with a maniac. All right? Once you realize you're locked in with a maniac, now we can start to figure out what to do with this maniac. All right? But the maniac ruins everything. He says, like, just witness it in the shower. When you go to take a shower, what happens? It's like 1,000 thoughts ping-ponging. Did I do this? Did I turn off the light? What about this? Oh, I forgot to message that person. Okay, I need to get back to this. Oh, what am I having for dinner? Oh, do I need to order groceries? Oh, we need to go to the grocery store. Oh, you can't get that at that grocery store. Like, it is just, and you're supposed to be, like, taking a shower. And this inner roommate is just constant. Yes, the roommate brings her baggage. Exactly, Lou. It's like, it's got a lot of baggage. It has a ton of baggage. And it's obnoxious. And so this is the challenge, okay? And he says, do you dare to do this experiment? So I'm doing it. And maybe you all started to do it this past week when you read this, but let's do it this week. He says, imagine that this is a person. So this her that is bringing her baggage, right, Lou? Imagine that this thing inside your head, this roommate that's talking all the time. I like that, don't like that. Don't forget the laundry. You forgot the laundry. What's wrong with you? Blah, 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 blah. That one. Make it into a person and act like it's sitting next to you. Like, literally bring it out of your mind and into this physical space. All right? It is exhausting sometimes, Marie. Exactly. So bring it into the physical space. You can decide if it's male, female, whatever it looks like. I don't care. Old, young. I don't care. Mickey says, give it like the traits of a thing outside of you. Okay? Like a person that's coming along with you. And then just watch what happens. Say you sit down to watch TV. I don't know how many of you watch TV, but it's a good example. All right? Say you sit down to watch TV. And you have this person now. The mind's chatter is now a person sitting next to you on the couch. And it starts going, did you turn off the light downstairs? You better go check. No, not now. I'll do it later. Well, I want to finish watching the show. No, do it now. Well, gosh, this is why the electricity bill is so high. Hey, I want to get something to eat. I'm craving pizza. No, you can't have pizza right now. It's too far of a drive, but I'm hungry. When will I get to eat? Can you imagine a person sitting next to you doing this? It's probably like having a 2-year-old. Why? Right? Just la, 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 la. All right, it's just incessant. And to your amazement, he says, right, these neurotic outbursts will just continue the whole time you're watching TV, right? He gives the example of, like, I think he said something like a redhead appears and all of a sudden now you're thinking about an ex relationship and it's got a lot to say about that. And, like, you're just trying to sit and watch TV and this person next to you won't shut up. And he said, by the end of the TV show, you'd be on the edge of the couch like, oh my gosh, stop. Right? Like, can you imagine this? It's like I was talking about last week when Mary Morrissey gave the exercise of, like, verbalize, say out loud the things that you're saying to yourself, like when you look in the mirror, right? Or when you're thinking about yourself. There is something about verbalizing it and putting it into the external world that will freak you out. And you will go, what in the, I wouldn't hang around with someone like that for a second. All right. But you do it every day. And for some reason, right, if someone outside was doing this, you wouldn't hang around with them. You'd get them out of your world, or you would address them, right? But when it's your own voice, for some reason, you feel like you owe it an answer. You feel like you have to listen to it. And I'm here to tell you, you're not it, and you don't have to. All right? You totally don't have to. He says, just think about, are they even giving good advice in there? Right? I loved, he said, have you ever bothered to ask that voice like what its credentials are? How many times it's been totally wrong, right? What's its batting average? It's not good. It's not good. He gives the example of the person that's like waiting for their girlfriend and is like, oh my gosh, like they're so inconsiderate. I think I probably need to break up with them. This isn't working. Then maybe they're going to break up with me, blah, 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 blah. And then it turns out like the person's late because it's their anniversary. And so immediately the voice is like, oh my God, they're the best. They remember the anniversary. Like the voice is crazy. What if there are two of them? The good angel on one shoulder and the opposite on the other? Yeah, it's the same thing, Fritz. This is an excellent question. How like always on TV shows and like, it's like, the angel and the devil, like listening. It's both are the roommate. Both of those little voices, oh, do this, don't do this, oh, this, oh, that. Both of those are this inner roommate that he's talking about. You are the thing witnessing the chatter between the two. That's what's so crazy. And that's what he says. Like the voice actually talks to itself. It mutters to itself. Like when you find someone like that in the streets that's muttering to themselves, you're like, they're crazy. Well, the same thing's going on in your own mind. Okay? So good question. Really good question. So he says, it's worth asking yourself, is this really rational? And should I go to them for advice? No, you shouldn't. There is the witnessing space. If you can get beyond the mind and beyond all this chatter and you can get into the witness space, this is when you're connected in with source, with the divine, with what, we talked about with Eckhart Tolle and with Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer calls it, intention, the power of intention. This is how you get into that power, like the universe. God, like love, whatever it is for you. When you quiet the inner roommate, now your connection is clear. And Fritz, this is where there will be a voice that sounds very different. It honestly sounds like it comes from the heart space, at least for me, where it's a knowing, it's an answer from inside. It's not the mind chatter. Put a 2 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Has anyone accessed this? This is your intuition. Right, when you get that intuitive hit, people say it's in my gut. It's a gut feeling. That intuitive hit. It's not the mind. It's not the crazy incessant chatter. That has gone away. This is the intuitive hit. And when, this, do this, don't do this, do this. When that quiets, you can get into that point. Okay? No one's done that? No one's gotten their intuition? Guys, we need to talk more. Okay, there you are. Hey, Lou. Okay, we got 2 Lou's on this morning. Nice. Angela has, yes. Okay, all right. I'm like, some of my inner management mastery students, I know you have, because this is where we go in yoga therapy, right? This is the knowing that comes as you have to start to have your body kind of speak to you. It's powerful. And all of you have access to this. All of you do. It's just a matter of learning how and what questions to ask and how to quiet down the roommate. But as he so beautifully points out on page 22, he says, once you've watched your roommate long enough to truly understand the predicament you're in, you really have no basis for practices that help you deal with the mind. Once you've made this decision to free yourself from the mental melodrama, you are ready for teachings and techniques. You have to hit a wall. There's a reason, like the first line in the Yoga Sutras says, and now the practice of yoga begins. Now, after you have hit a wall, you have tried and tried and tried. You've listened to what this roommate has said to do. Go get money. Go achieve this. Go get that position. Go, all this external stuff. Right? You've listened to it. And I don't know if you figured it out yet, but it's wrong. And even when you go do those things, you're still not okay in there. You're still seeking. You're still striving. You're still looking. Why? Because you've been looking in the wrong place. You've been listening to the wrong voice. You need to drop behind that. You need to get into this witness space and realize the truth of who you are. And that's when Mickey says, finally, when you've hit a wall, right? And you go, okay, I've looked. the answer is not there. Like, there's got to be something more. This is when the practice of yoga begins. And yoga is really the science of watching the modifications of the mind. It teaches you how to go beyond the mind and access your true self, this is what I teach in Inner Management Mastery. This is like, because this is the secret to life. And this is what Mickey says. You have to reach this point, though, where you're like, mercy, right? Like, okay, like enough is enough. I'm done. And then, and only then, are you ready for the tools and the techniques to really, truly implement, to actually access this higher part of you, to go into the witness space, to be able to hold that space, drop in, get intuitive hits, that connection can be restored. That's what he's talking about. I don't know if you've had those moments. Like, I'll just share, for me, I was hit by a drunk driver when I was 23. And that caused a brain injury that pulled me from life. I couldn't work. I couldn't handle noise or light, so pretty much I couldn't go out anywhere. I was in my parents' home. I had moved home. I was in a dark room, and I was with myself. Can you imagine being stuck with yourself for days, weeks, months? And interaction with other people was painful, right? So sometimes you do it, but you'd feel like hell. That was my world. So I was alone with my roommate. Okay. And it took a year of, listening to it, striving for this, doing that, paying attention to it. And then finally, and this actually happened because my doctors told me, this is your new normal. Your body's done the healing it will do. This is it. And something snapped inside of me. And I just went, okay, I don't agree with them. I'm going to find a solution, but there's no solution right now. And I'm going crazy, to the point of contemplating, I don't want to be here anymore. And I thought, okay, what can I do? I've got to master my inner world. And this is what Mickey's talking about. You have to reach a point where you're like, enough is enough. I'm done. And that's the point I reached. And I didn't have this context. I didn't have this book. I didn't have anyone teaching me. I didn't know. But what I did was I became very present. I refused to let my mind think about the past, because at the moment anything from the past would come up, that little voice in my head would make me very depressed because it was slipping away. And the moment that I would start thinking about the future, I would get super anxious because the voice was like, well, you're never going to be able to work again. You'll never make money again. And your friends are doing this and that, and they're getting PhDs. And what are you doing? And you're such a loser. And blah, 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 blah. It wouldn't shut up. So I was like, enough. We're going to be present in this moment, right here, right now. And I'm going to do something that's going to make me happy. That's what I forced myself into. And in doing that, guys, this was what opened up where I started to witness my own thoughts. And I started to see, oh my gosh, that's not a thought I want to have. I'm going to choose a different thought. And I started to realize I have power over my thought because I am the one witnessing it. They're not me. They can't propel you to do anything, and you don't have to pay attention to them, right? This roommate is not you. You do not have to pay attention. There is so much more to you. That's what I learned, and that's what I love to teach now. Now I'm like, oh my God, there's people that, for decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years have been studying this and creating amazing tools. That's why I developed Inner Management Mastery, because, after the next decade unfolded with my accident, I started to seek other tools and techniques and people that had these same realizations as myself and were helping other people, along this journey. This is what it's all about. So the good news is, like he says, you'll be relieved to know that you're not the first person to have this problem. Okay? You're in good company right here. And if you're not in our Telegram channel yet, get on the Telegram channel because we're all collectively going through this and learning and discovering, and it's a beautiful process. He said, think about it like this. If my dog, I got him a ton of treats for Christmas. It's ridiculous. The counter of Bodhi's treats is crazy. And Bodhi has learned that there's now a lot of treats there, and he gets very excited and he wants them. And so he will come to me and he will nicely put his paw on me. Then he'll put his head on my lap and he'll look up at me. Then if I'm not paying attention, he goes a little bit right? He starts talking. And then he'll start nudging me. Right? He's a 70-pound dog. So the nudges, sometimes I'm like, geez. And he's like, I want it. It's like your mind. I want it. And sometimes, right, we'll listen to the mind. So I'm like, okay, Bodhi, I'll get you a treat. Right? What's that do? It just reinforces. So then it keeps doing the same thing again and again and again and again. What do you need to do with your mind? You need to stop listening to it. You need to stop giving it what it wants. You need to just cut it off. I say, Bodhi, go lie down. right? And then when I decide that I want to give him a treat, I'll give him a treat. It's the same with your mind. You say, hey, roommate, zip it, right? Not interested in what you have to say. You don't have to pay attention. You can go, okay, you're chatting over here. And usually you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You can literally just look that direction, guys. It can chat. You don't have to pay attention to it. And eventually it will just stop. And there's a lot of tools to help you if you need it. So I'm gonna read the last paragraph because I thought it was profound, and we'll end with that. If you want to free yourself, you must first become conscious enough to understand your predicament. Then you must commit yourself to the inner work of freedom. You do this as though your life depended on it, because it does. As it is right now, your life is not your own. It belongs to your inner roommate, to the psyche. You have to take it back. Stand firm in the seat of the witness and release the hold that the habitual mind has on you. This is your life. Reclaim it. So, next week we'll get together. We'll talk through chapter 3, which gets into who are you? So if I'm not my inner roommate, then who am I? We'll have that conversation. I love starting the week with you guys. Angela says, I love the Bodhi analogy. Yeah, it's helpful, right? Like dogs, little kids, like throwing tantrums. It's the same as your mind. And you have power over them and this mind of yours. So, all right. I will see you next week. Chapter 3, we'll just read that. These are short chapters, but there's a lot to unpack. So we'll be back next week and we'll do that. And lots of love to you guys. I'll talk to you soon.